no fear, but I'm still here. Lakeysha Keysha, say it clear. Real talk, lives right here.
Stretch words like
no fear. They talk loud, but I'm still here. Lakeysha Keysha, say it clear. Real talk, lives right here. Yeah. Spilling tea, no sugar, no
T-4 minutes.
I'm still here, no fear, but I'm still here. Lakeysha Keysha, say it clear. Real talk, lives right here.
Stretch words like
no fear. They talk loud, but I'm still here. Lakeysha Keysha, say it clear. Real talk, lives right here.
T-3 minutes.
I'm still here, no fear, but I'm still here. Lakeysha Keysha, say it clear. Real talk, lives right here.
Stretch words like
tonight in the Wales bombshell tonight.
No fear. They talk loud, but I'm still here. Lakeysha Keysha, say it clear. Real talk, lives right here.
T-2 minutes.
No fear. I'm still here, no fear, but I'm still here. Lakeysha Keysha, say it clear. Real talk, lives right here.
Stretch words like
no fear. They talk loud, but I'm still here. Lakeysha Keysha, say it clear. Real talk, lives right here.
T-1 minute.
No sugar, no fear. I'm still here, no fear, but I'm still here.
T-50 seconds.
Say it clear. Real talk, lives right here.
Stretch words T-40 seconds. T-30 seconds. T-20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hey guys, we are back again. We got to get into this dang on it autopsy. Now, I don't know if you guys were here earlier. We went over the press conference for the autopsy. And what did we learn? We learned that when they sent Nolan's body to Washington, D.C., that for some reason they just didn't send his body parts that went with him. So we're gonna get into that. Now, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys are liking the video. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. And also make sure you guys enable your bell notification so you don't miss out on the video. I used to put it in my community when I'm going live. Sometime I may still do that, but today I wanted to jump on here and really go over this because, like I said, I don't know if you guys had the opportunity to see the press conference, but they are really playing. They are really truly playing. I'm just like, this is unbelievable. So make sure you guys are liking the video, enable your bell notifications so y'all don't miss out on a video. Now, I normally read the comments as they come in. However, if you guys would like to super chat a question, go ahead and super chat that question because then it'll be highlighted. It actually turns green in my chat. But for the people who want to support the channel, I am going to put the information. You can Cash App, and that's at the money sign at Lakeysha Keysha. Also, if you wanted to purchase a membership, which I do members only live, you can do that as well. Now, only thing I really need you guys to do is like the video, share the video, and we're going to get into it. Now, we got the autopsy back today. Put a 1 in the chat if you guys have already watched the autopsy information. If you guys are in here and you have watched the autopsy, you know everything about the autopsy because you watched it already. Put a 1 in the chat. Okay, so a few people. Okay, a few people. All right, so let's kind of, because I did show that live today. I don't want to get into that right at this moment because we kind of went over it already. But earlier today, we went over the autopsy. What we learned is that, well, this is what I learned. Why did they send the body to Washington, D.C. and not including the body parts, which were significant for an autopsy? Like, it's almost impossible to be able to conclude what happened to Nolan when they failed to include his specific body parts. And let's kind of get into what they did not include, okay? One of the things that were not included was his neck and his, I don't want to say neck. Let's say his throat. I think they said the throat. I don't know why I put, oh, wait a minute. It actually it does say that. Okay, so they didn't include this throat part, right? They did not include his lungs. His stomach was not included. I'm sorry, he was missing the throat. His throat was missing. His lungs and his stomach was missing. Now, the reason why this is so important, and I'm not a doctor, I only know because I listened to Ben Crump when he read the report. The reason why these specific things were important is because without lungs and stomach, they're not able to tell if he actually drowned and also too, I learned having his stomach is very important because you know what else it tells? When the last time he ate. So that also helps. So I believe them not returning these specific things, they knew exactly what they were doing. No lungs, no stomach. They needed to observe were there water in the lungs? When was the last time he ate? Things of that nature. Without the lungs, without the stomach, they can't conclude anything. They can't conclude if he drowned. They can't conclude when the last time he ate. They cannot conclude if water was in his lungs because they did not send it along with the body. Now, what we do know What we do know is that as it relates to, everybody has a PDF of the autopsy report. Even I do, just so you know. TMZ ain't nothing but a bunch of liars. Okay? But anywho, without the lungs and the stomach, they're just not able to obtain correct information. That's just part of it, okay? Now, with missing his throat, how do they know if he was choked or if he wasn't choked? They don't know this information. So don't you think it was very odd that they didn't include these specific things? They also noted that on the back of his neck, there was a discoloration, and I believe he described it as like a reddish color. Again, they're not really able to tell what happened to him because they didn't include the body parts that were needed. But I'm going to tell you what it does mean. To me, it means that this young man was strangled. That's what it means. Because if it didn't, why didn't they include his throat? Why wouldn't they include his throat? Keep in mind, they have already did videos and made public statements saying that he drowned. So if he drowned, why don't we have his throat? Why was his throat not included in with his body? That doesn't make any sense. I feel like, this is just what I feel. I feel like the reason that they did not include those things, because had they would have included his throat, they would have been able to tell that he probably was strangled. Had they would have provided his lungs and stomach, they would have been able to tell he did not drown. I think that the fact that they did not include these specific things, it means that possibly these things happened to him or he was hung. Exactly. I believe the reason why these specific parts wasn't provided because it would paint a different story. Why did they not include his throat? Come on now, guys. Why would you not want to include his throat? I mean, he drowned, right? You took out his entire throat. Was not even provided. Another thing, they have said from day one that he drowned.
New tonight.
So if he drowned, why did they not provide this information? Here's the governor over a week ago.
Tonight, we hear from the governor on the death investigation of Nolan Wells. Comes on the same day as parents and attorney met with leaders this morning. 16 WAPT's Carlos Garcia here with the latest on the case tonight. Carlos.
That's right. Well, today the family attorney said once the investigation into Nolan Wells' death is complete, it will be turned over to the DA. Governor Tate Reeves also speaking out about the case nearly 2 weeks after the teen's disappearance and eventual death. Nolan Wells was last seen on July 4th after being out with friends. His body found 2 days later in the water at Horn Island. Family and friends have spoken out about the kind of person that Wells was and say they're still searching for answers. When asked about the tragic incident, here's what the governor had to say.
I don't know all of the facts surrounding the case. I have yet to see a fact or a piece of evidence that suggests any foul play.
You see what I'm saying? He has yet to see any evidence that suggests foul play, but yet you guys removed his throat. Why would you remove his throat? He drowned, right? I mean, that is the narrative that they've been sending over to TMZ. You know, and TMZ has been pushing this narrative that he drowned. But if he drowned, then why did you all not return his body parts? I don't understand. This doesn't make any sense.
But if there is, I feel confident that the sheriff's office, the district attorney's office, the members at the Department of Public Safety that deal with these crimes, if there had been one, they will find it and they will do what is necessary.
They will find it and they will do what's necessary. All these people do is lie. The medical examiner knew that not providing those parts of his body, they would not be able to basically rule on what happened to him, because you need the body parts. You know, if he was choked, they would need to look in, you know, within his neck to see, you know, whatever, that would indicate that that happened. Isn't it odd that you would take his throat? I do believe he was hung or strangled or something to that nature. Okay. Now, why would they not provide his stomach and his lungs? Oh, it's simple. Because if they provided his stomach and his lungs, the medical examiner would be able to determine whether he had drowned or not. You see how this kind of works together and it kind of adds up? This doesn't make any sense. The medical examiner also stated that there was a, so let me kind of show you guys this right here. Right here. If you guys can see there in that figure, I don't want to tell you what side because it don't matter. Whatever side you on, it will be twisted. But anywho, you see the back where there's the red right there. He couldn't explain that. Couldn't explain where that came from and why it was red. Was just not able to provide an explanation for that. My thought was, I said, I feel it had to be some kind of blunt trauma to the back of the head. And then I feel like they strangled him. I don't know if you guys remember, but I don't like to be a conspiracy theorist, but when some things don't add up, it just doesn't add up. Do y'all remember I said that I'm starting to believe that this Cajun Navy people are involved as well? Well, listen, we're going to get into a video here because this almost proves that the Cajun Navy had something to do with it. Every interview that I saw with the Cajun Navy people, it felt like they were always trying to protect these boys. And I didn't understand where that was coming from. You guys know that they spoke to, what is her name? I can't remember. What's that lady's name? I don't forgot that lady's name. Nancy Grace. So the Cajun Navy people spoke to Nancy Grace, right? In their well, I'm gonna let y'all hear it because they made statements and then came back and tried to attack Ben Crump. And the only thing Ben Crump did was repeated what they said. But I'm gonna let y'all hear it and see if y'all gonna be able to pinpoint it.
The United Cajun Navy are so forthcoming. The fact that they told us, we haven't heard from any of their local officials, that Nolan was found face down, fully clothed. Well, that's significant to us because the last time we saw him on the videos, he was without a shirt. So at what point did he put on a shirt? Somebody saw something. Somebody knows something. There were almost 300, 400 people. Somebody knows something.
Okay. All Ben Crump said was they said that he was found face down with his shirt on. Did they not say that? Do y'all remember them saying that? Who remembers the Cajun Navy doing an interview with Nancy Grace and saying he was found face down with his shirt, fully clothed? Okay, so I thought that was rather important because I don't know. Let me see if I can. I'm gonna screenshot this because I don't know if you guys can see this, but there is a right there. I'm going to screenshot it. There is a tweet that Cajun Navy sent out, and it says, we didn't say, get into this, guys. We didn't say Nolan was fully clothed when found. He was wearing only swim trunks. Please don't misrepresent our words. I told y'all they had something to do with this. Cajun Navy, in fact, said what Ben Crump said that they said. If you don't believe me, believe this.
As I recall, Todd Terrell, Nolan was face down, still fully clothed on the beach. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. He was face down, which would have meant that he drowned.
Hello? Did he just not say he was face down? I'm confused. What is this? What's going on here? I'm starting to feel like I think everybody's involved. I think the Cajun Navy is involved. Why are they lying? First, he was fully clothed, face down, and now you say, tell Ben Crump. Basically, why would Ben Crump need to lie and make anything up? He wasn't there. He's clearly just representing the family and trying to get information. So you go after Ben Crump and say Ben Crump is providing misinformation? You guys, in fact, said that he was found face down, fully damn clothed. So when you don't remember what you said, it means that you are telling lies, because what liars do is they just make up shit. They just make it up. So this guy is now saying that he or his folks didn't say this.
Now, when we say he was found fully clothed on the beach, it was in the same vicinity of where he possibly drowned. You know,
As I recall, Todd Terrell, Nolan was face down, still fully clothed on the beach. Is that correct?
yes, that is correct. He was face down, which would have meant that he drowned. Now, when we say he was found fully clothed on the beach, it was in the same vicinity of where he possibly drowned. You know,
As I recall.
So during today's news conference, Ben Crump obviously spoke about Nolan Well being face down, fully clothed, because the last time we saw him in photos, he had on, he didn't have on a shirt. And United Cajun Navy basically responded on X, claiming that its statements were being misrepresented. However, in a July 20th interview posted by Nancy Grace, the organization's president, Todd Terrell, was asked directly whether Nolan was found face down and fully clothed. Terrell answered, yes, that is correct. Not only did he answer, yes, that is correct, he elaborated. What are we doing here? These people are lying. They are lying. So now he says they didn't say this? Sir, did you know you were being recorded? This makes no sense. This is a setup. I don't know what they did to him. Here's my deal, guys. Nolan has been buried at this point. Did they return his organs? I'm confused. I'm confused. How is it that his organs did not make it to the pathologist for this autopsy? This doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense. Now, what I want to get into next is this bimbo right here. This bimbo on the screen, her name is Dr. Stacy Turner. And I want to get into some things as it relates to her and as it relates to the state of Mississippi and some of the things they have done in the past as it relates to Black people and as it relates to homicides and basically lying, as you know, when it comes to these autopsies. They have a history, including hiring people that do not have the correct credentials. So a whole bunch of mess. An autopsy is pretty much an independent and thorough medical examination of a deceased person concluded by a board-certified forensic pathologist. They have to be a board-certified forensic pathologist. Now, this bozo that I have on the screen, Her name is Dr. What is it? Stacy. I'm sorry. Dr. Stacy Turner. Now, she is the first female chief medical examiner for the state of Mississippi. She was appointed to a permanent role back in November 2021 as serving as an interim chief. She has a long professional background in forensic pathology across multiple southern states. But the thing with this Dr. Turner, she has an extremely checkered past. She has faced public scrutiny in the past to include community protests and legal pushback. And we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that. Of course, you know, with this case, she's receiving she's going to receive a lot of, you know, pushback as it relates to this case. I mean, she had been receiving it anyways, but to ship a body without the organs, lady, you did this on purpose. This was done on purpose. But her past, do y'all want to know about this lady past? Her past included some very high profile cases. For instance, Damian Cameron, he was a 29-year-old Black man who died after a violent arrest by a sheriff. And he was shot. What this medical examiner did, so he was shot and he was, so let me just read it so I don't jump all over. So he was a 21-year-old Black man. He died after a violent arrest by a Rankin County sheriff. Deputies reportedly knelt on his back for over 20 minutes. His face was severely bruised and swollen. Dr. Turner ruled the case as undetermined. Keep in mind, the police were on this man for 20 minutes. So what happened to him is, although she ruled it as undetermined, he actually died because he couldn't breathe. He died in this particular case. He died because he couldn't breathe. He could not breathe. But because she ruled it undetermined, they couldn't do anything with the police. You see what I'm saying? He ended up getting a second autopsy. The second autopsy ruled that he actually died because he couldn't breathe. But because this lady did not rule his death as a homicide, nothing happened to the police. Okay? They pretty much got away with it. And this was in 2021. 2025, there was a case. The guy name was the Trey Reed case. He was a Delta State University student. He was found unalived on campus. The state medical examiner's office initially ruled the cause of death as saying he pretty much put the thing around his neck. Y'all know what I mean. Prominent civil rights attorney Ben Crump actually took on this case. Obviously, he was working with them. And it looks like Colin Kaepernick actually helped with this autopsy as well. I didn't realize that. So a lot of scrutiny because they don't feel like this was an unaliving. You know, this narrative of Black people putting stuff around their neck, hanging themselves, yeah, we don't believe that. There was another case that I'm going to have to look up where this one, I can't remember the name, but I did it in an earlier video. There was a guy that the police were chasing this guy and he ran. He didn't have any weapons and he was unalived as well. Now, of course, we're here today with the Nolan Wells case, and it is still basically unwinding with the information that we're currently receiving. And now this lady had the nerve to send his body off without his organs. Now, with this particular office, I want you guys to know they've had decades long of corruption. Prior to Stacy coming on, get into this, y'all. They had another medical examiner by the name of Dr. Stephen Hayne. Now it says before 2008, Hayne had performed up to 90%, listen to this, of criminal autopsies in the state, although he did not have a board certification. Now, let me make sure you guys understand something. In order to have his position, he has to be board certified. Okay. He was not board certified. But get into this, y'all. This is what is going to really make you angry. Because his ass, and I'm going to put it to you like this, was uncertified. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. His incorrectness and inability to know what he was doing because he was not board certified led to numerous wrongful convictions, putting people in prison for stuff they didn't even do because this man didn't know what the F-U-C-K he was doing. Now, ain't that some mess right there? Isn't that some mess? They have had a history of corruptness, don't know what they're doing. So because this previous, not the lady that they have now, but the previous guy wasn't even board certified. Wasn't even board certified. And they say the Innocent Project got involved because they started to overturn wrongful convictions stemming from this white tea medical examiner showing up in court providing false testimony, and basically people going to prison for stuff that they never did because he don't know what the hell he didn't know what he was doing. This is the craziest shit I've ever heard of. So the Innocent Project spent decades. It says, let me see what it says here. It says Dr. Stephen Hayne performed the vast majority of Mississippi autopsies without being officially certified as a forensic pathologist by the American Board of Pathology. He performed as many as 1,500 autopsies a year, far exceeding national recommendations, which was later scrutinized heavily by the Innocence Project due to flawed forensic findings. That's a mess. In 2011, they're saying that the state of Mississippi operated without a state medical examiner for about 15 years. The state legislative replaced the controversial system with a mixed coroner and state medical examiner system, requiring the head medical examiner to be board certified. Well, I'm sure y'all know those people that went to jail, I'm sure they was Black. So they've had a history of pretty much railroading Black people. This is their history, a history. It says Dr. Stephen Hayne, he served as a primary pathologist and medical examiner for the state of Mississippi for approximately 20 years. So they hired this man to be a pathologist and medical examiner. He was not even qualified. He performed the vast majority of the state's criminal autopsies. So, you know, somebody is in jail for committing a crime, and now they got his inexperienced ass, don't know what he's doing, testifying in court. They're saying they had to overturn a bunch of his cases because he didn't know what the hell he was doing. But let me follow this so I get all off track. So he performed the vast majority of the state's criminal autopsies from the late 1980s until his contract was terminated in August of 2008. During his tenure, Mississippi did not officially have a chief medical examiner. Instead, Hayne operated as the designated go-to pathologist for local coroners and district attorneys. His contract was officially severed by the Mississippi Department of Public Safety in August of 2008, following widespread criticism from the Innocent Project regarding flawed and misleading testimony that led to several wrongful convictions. Did y'all hear that shit? This is too much. If you guys are, if you just came in, make sure you're liking the video. So now we got this lady here, but prior to her showing up, they were still doing shit that they just wasn't qualified to do. So this is like a history, a long-rooted history as it relates to the state of Mississippi. He should be in jail, right? Because the Innocence Project works with people who, you know, essentially who has been wrongfully convicted. So they essentially were working on a lot of cases as it relates to this man and, you know, putting people in prison for stuff that they did not do. And now we have this woman on the screen there. Now, one of the things I would like to talk about, we know that, you know, Nolan Wells' autopsy came out today, but I mean, I don't even feel like it came out because it's still missing very important information. Yeah. But another thing that dropped, which happened to drop at the same time, is his fake ass friend who left him stranded on the island and he winded up unalive. Now, I'm going to call him a fake ass friend because that's exactly who he is. Warren Hudson, one of the three boys that left him stranded, one of the three boys who went and got an attorney, decides to sit down and finally open his mouth.
Y'all pretty much having a good time. Just like anybody would imagine, 18-year-olds, probably 20-year-olds, college students, out on the island, women, you probably had alcohol. So y'all having a good time.
Yeah, of course.
And so where's Nolan in this? You know, you guys out there, the friend groups are out there, 3 boats full of people that came out there that seem to be the closest friend group.
Right.
Where is Nolan in this in comparison to where you and others are at?
Well, you know, I had a couple conversations with Nolan that day, and I talked to him and a couple of my other buddies. They in a group. I was not focused on anyone solely, like looking and pointing anyone out, because there's so many people out there. I mean, I was talking to my friends that I haven't seen in a while from high school. I was talking from people I knew from college. I was talking to, you know, everybody my age and even people older than us were, you know, over there. Like, I mean, it was just a regular thing. You know, we're all used to this. We've been out to the islands before. My buddies don't just go out to the island on 4th of July, but they go out, you know, every weekend. Like, I fish the islands. I don't just, you know, fish.
Y'all pretty much having a good time.
So how interesting is that Warren decides to open his stupid mouth? His friend has passed away. He obviously wasn't there for the family, but he wants to tell us nothing.
Wyatt went and put his smaller boat in the water, which is the Palm Beach. He's an 18-foot Palm Beach. And I drove the boat from Fort Bayou boat launch to my buddy's grandparents' house. And that's where we all planned to meet up that day. And
you say we all, who are you talking about? You, Nolan, and how many people are going to meet you guys there?
We had roughly 20 to 30 people coming on 3 separate boats with us. And so we were all following each other out there as one big group. You know, it wasn't just me and Nolan and a couple other of my buddies. There was 20 or 30 people spread out where we all met at the dock before, and then we departed to go to Horn Island. It wasn't just a couple of us. I mean, there were so many people, we had to split up between 3 boats, and we all left and all got there at the same time.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that's clear, because the statements that are out there made it appear that it was just you, Nolan,
and Wyatt went and put his smaller boat in the water, which
I just thought it was extremely interesting to me that, you know, we get this autopsy that's coming out. Well, I mean, it don't seem like nothing came out. And then this boy decides he want to run his damn diarrhea mouth. I mean, he's been quiet for the whole time. Why open your mouth now? Okay. If you guys are just coming in, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. What's up, JGray575? Thank you for the super chat. I doubt that Mississippi properly refrigerates human remains, and they probably just slap a report together out of thin air too. Where's the Mississippi report? I am with you. This ain't adding up. This don't add up at all. Jay Gray, back again. Thank you for the 1999. Mississippi medical examiner took his thyroid glands too, is what Crump said. The occipital region is the back of his head. So he was struck on the back of the head, blunt force trauma, and hung possibly. They weird and lying in Mississippi. Exactly. So you can't play with us. We're not dumb. Those specific parts that were taken from his body would be able to establish his manner of death. And that's why they did not provide it. It's very clear, because why would they not provide those things? I mean, it's very clear that if he wasn't strangled, he was hung, hitting him in the back of the head, could have knocked them out or something like that. But the fact of the matter is, the information that would have proved these things missing. Come on now. Why did they need to take his stomach? Why did they need to take his lungs? They have already stated that he accidentally drowned. Then we have the Cajun Navy coming out saying that they didn't say something that they said. See, this is what I always say. When you lie, you have to remember what you said. But if you just tell the truth, you just go off your memory and just say what you know to be true. But when you're trying to remember lies, it gets very complicated, because you set your ass onto Nancy Grace's show, and he said that, basically said that Nolan had on, that he was fully clothed. But then when Ben Crump says, I want to understand, how did Nolan get fully clothed? Now Ben Crump is spreading misinformation when you in fact said that Nolan was fully clothed and he had on a shirt.
That the United Cajun Navy are so forthcoming. The fact that they told us, we haven't heard from any of their local officials, that Nolan was found face down, fully clothed. Well, that's significant to us, because the last time we saw him on the videos, he was without a shirt. So at what point did he put on a shirt? Somebody saw something. Somebody knows something. There were almost 300, 400 people. Somebody knows something.
Somebody knows something. Now look, instead of the Cajun Navy just shutting up, because they did say that, I'm gonna show you guys. They did. Let me show you all this. They put out this statement right here. Attorney Crump, we didn't say Nolan was fully clothed when found. He was wearing only swim trunks. So I'm confused. How do you misspeak and say that he was fully clothed, and now you're saying, oh, he was wearing only swim trunks? Please don't misrepresent our words. Is that true? Is that what you really said? Because that's not what this say.
Todd Terrell Nolan was face down, still fully clothed on the beach. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. He was face down, which would have meant that he drowned. Now, when we say he was found fully clothed on the beach, it was in the same vicinity of where he possibly drowned,
As I recall, Todd Terrell.
Now I'm confused. Make me understand. I mean, did you guys realize that, we shouldn't have said that shit? That don't sound right. Because wait a minute now, you done lied, and now they're going to be able to tell that you lied, because it don't make sense. Oh no, Ben Crump, you're misrepresenting our words. No, sir, you said that he was found. Now, I don't know if this is the actual guy that tweeted that, but this is a member of the Cajun Navy. What are you talking about? You found him face down, and then now you say, well, we didn't say he was fully clothed. So you don't know what the hell fully clothed is, and then you don't know the difference in somebody wearing shorts and no shirt. Yeah, this story don't add up. It doesn't add up. It doesn't add up, and I don't think it ever will add up because unfortunately a crime was committed against Carmelo.
Psychologists identified several limitations during the second autopsy that create barriers to establishing a definitive cause and manner of death for Nolan Xavier Wells. And that's important. He talks about the fact that we didn't get to see the body when it was first recovered, like the medical examiner working for Mississippi would have seen it. He talked about the second autopsy performed on Nolan Wells revealed marked decompensation or changes.
Another thing, guys, I was thinking about this. I believe they knew as long as his body decomposed that it would be hard to make out any type of abrasions or scars on him. Because what he does say, as he gets into this report, he says the medical examiner / pathologist was not able to determine because of the way the body had decomposed. They did this shit intentionally. This was not a mistake.
Marked decompensation can obscure the presence and absence of bruising on the skin surface, especially during a second autopsy examination. What he's saying, because the body was so decomposed that you couldn't tell if there was bruises or abrasions on the body when he received it on the 10th of July.
So his body, according to their lies, was only out for maybe, I don't know, not even 2 days. Or, I mean, you can say 2 days. Why would the body be so decomposed like that? I feel like maybe when he got to the coroner, they let his body out. But I really feel like this was intentional. And this kind of answers some of those questions when people were saying his body was damaged. I think that's what they meant. His body was severely decomposed. Severely.
Dr. Roger Mitchell said that the focal area of red discoloration in the soft tissue of the back of the head, the occipital region, is significant because he cannot determine why you have that red discoloration in the back of his brain. That's significant. He also talked about, Mr. Williams, if you can, just the fact that as it's common practice, he was missing his throat when they received the body. And he wants to know why they held it back. He's not drawing any conclusions, but he said he would want to examine it if there were neck fractures or compressions to the neck. And Dr.
Why did they not include his neck? Again, I feel like the reason why they did not include it, because had the pathologist would have gotten his neck, it would have revealed that the boy was strangled.
Roger Mitchell said that the focal area of red discoloration in the soft tissue of the back of the head, the occipital region, is significant because he cannot determine why you have that red discoloration in the back of his brain. That's significant.
In the back of his brain, seemed like he was hit with something. Seemed like to me he was hit with something. So Nobody saw this, by the way. All of those people, nobody saw it.
He also talked about, Mr. Williams, if you can, just the fact that as it's common practice, he was missing his throat when they received the body. And he wants to know why they held it back. He's not drawing any conclusions, but he said he would want to examine it if there were neck fractures or compressions to the neck. And Dr. Roger Mitchell said he thinks that's significant to know at autopsy. The reason he said he would hold it back when he was medical examiner, because he thought that there may have been some issues with neck fractures. The last thing that is significant is what we said before about him, the condition of his body when he went into the water. Was he conscious or unconscious? Was he forced or unforced into the water? He said those things are very significant. But he started off talking about this red discoloration in the back of his head is something that was of great concern to him. He thinks that's...
Ooh. What are y'all saying in the chat? Right, guys. So this is, I mean, I just feel like there's more to the story. There's no reason that they would have to not provide his neck, not provide his lungs. You know, these things would have told the story of what actually happened to Nolan Wells. Now, Ben Crump, since having this press conference, he did sit down with TMZ. He sat down with TMZ. Let's kind of get into that.
Joining us now is Ben Crump to talk about what they've found so far and what they are hoping to find from the authorities down in Mississippi. Ben, welcome back to TMZ Live.
Hey, thank you, Charles, for having me. Thank you for covering this matter.
Yeah, we have been all over this story, and I know everybody wants answers, and we are doing our best to try and see what we can find. But with this autopsy, the independent autopsy that you did, you mentioned that obviously, I think the part that people are really focusing on is that you mentioned that there was this discoloration, this red coloration on the back of Nolan's head. Did the examiner who looked at him have any inkling about what that might be? Could it be blunt force trauma? And I understand that the cause of death and manner is undetermined, but is it possible that it was blunt force trauma?
Well, he wants to be able to give his theories and opinions before the grand jury in Mississippi as to the possible causes of the red discoloration in the back of Nolan Wells' head near the occipital region of the brain. And so it's very significant. He concluded that it was undetermined, pending further investigation, the manner and cause of death. But he did find that very significant, that you had this red discoloration in the back of his brain in that occipital region of the brain, of the head. Also, he found it very significant. He said that they did not send his throat with his body in the second autopsy. He said when he was the chief medical examiner of DC, this is something that's common. He said normally he would do it when they were investigating and studying whether there were fractures to the neck or some kind of, compressions to his vertebrae.
Right.
So that is significant, he found. And the most significant thing he said, what is the crux of the matter that we do not know, and that is, what was the condition of Nolan Wells' body when he entered the water? Was he conscious or was he unconscious? Was he forced into the water or was he unforced into the water? He said those are going to be very significant in a potential drowning death case where you had a person who was able to swim.
Ben, was your examiner?
And again, guys, people keep overlooking the fact that Nolan can swim. That don't mean that obviously you can't drown if you can swim, but they are treating this as if the boy could not swim. He drowned, nobody saw him. None of this makes any sense. Nobody saw him. Nobody. This is crazy.
Are able to, I know you said that just like the throat was removed, what about the lungs? That you mentioned that the initial autopsy, that the lungs had been dissected, but was your examiner able to see the lungs at all, or were they also removed?
No, they were able to see the lungs. However, Charles, remember the state medical examiner for Mississippi got to observe the body when it was first recovered. And that Dr. Roger Mitchell, the independent pathologist that we hired, he would not have seen the body until 6 days later. And the body had, as he said, severe decomposed. And it is one of those things that he is going to have to rely on photographs that were taken by the Mississippi medical examiner. We would believe that they would have taken photographs and their observations, whether there was water in the lungs and water in his.
Now that's very important, guys, because when you're dealing with a second autopsy, not only did they not send his body parts, which would have, helped them, this second pathologist, to make a conclusion on what the actual cause of death was, they didn't send any of the pictures. Keep in mind, if the medical examiner is picking up a body, they got a whole bunch of pictures. So what Ben Crump is saying, because this, medical examiner wasn't the original person, they didn't receive any pictures or nothing. So again, they say he drowned, but yet it appears to me that they intentionally withheld information. I mean, it's very clear.
Airways. We know that some from the United Cajun Navy said that his body didn't seem bloated when they found him, that they didn't see his body as waterlogged. So all these things are significant as we try to figure out why Nolan Wells is dead.
Ben, how were Nolan's parents? How did they receive, when I'm sure before the news conference this morning, you had gone over the autopsy results, the independent autopsy results with them. How were they when they got those results? Was it disappointing to them? Were they, obviously they want to know what happened to their son. Were they disappointed that, because of all those conditions you just mentioned, the examiner was not able to determine a manner or cause of death?
Well, Charles, they were alarmed, as many of us were, at the, red discoloration in the back of his head. They were alarmed that he didn't have his throat with the body. And, they want answers. They have been very
that part, somebody put in the chat, that is crazy. They withheld every piece of vital information that was needed to determine cause of death. I love how you put that. That's exactly what they did. That is exactly what they did. Why the hell you remove his throat? You removed his throat. You didn't give his stomach. You took his lungs. I mean, it's giving that you didn't provide these things because that was the manner of death. I mean, why did you not provide these things? This is disgusting. They withheld every piece of information that would help determine what happened to him. That is simply because this is a cover-up. This is a cover-up. I mean, from every angle, but this is how white tea people do. They don't care if, there's an innocent party involved. All they care to do is stick together. You got the Cajun Navy. Now they have an attitude with you know, Ben Crump, because Ben Crump is just saying what y'all said. Now all of a sudden you have an attitude and say you never said that he was fully clothed.
System. They do not accept that nobody didn't know anything, that nobody didn't see anything. And so when you think about the fact that Reverend Al and Mr. Tyler Perry and Mr. Terrell Owens has put up this $125,000 reward, that is because we know somebody saw something. Somebody knows something. There were over 300, 400 people out there on Horn Island that day. We, on our Nolan Wells tip line, we've received over hundreds of calls with video, people saying what they saw, people having photographs. And it's important that the people who knew something, who saw something, that they call us. Is critically important.
To that point, Ben, I don't know if you've seen, there's a video that we were able to obtain, and we posted this yesterday. And I don't know if you have seen it yet, but the person who shot it pointed this out, gave a copy of this to the police because they believe that it could be Nolan. There's an image of a young man who's bent over on the back deck of a boat. And the trunks certainly look like the same color that Nolan was wearing on July 4th. And, you know, all we can see, he never stands up, so we can't see his face, but they thought this could be Nolan. And I'm wondering if the family has seen this, or if you're at any contact with any of Nolan's friends who might have seen this, who could say, yeah, that's him, because the police are trying to determine that. We don't know if they've figured out if it's him. Have you seen this video?
Well, my team of investigators and our team of lawyers have received that video, received many others, and we've received witnesses saying that they say it's Nolan, but until we can confirm these allegations, we want to be careful to say that witnesses have said that this is Nolan. And we also have videos where you have people having exchange.
And you know, I don't like to get all over the place, but I'm telling y'all, when I heard they didn't send his organs, I'm just like, now, okay, we understand that you do remove them from the body, but where is his organs at? Like, and it's giving weird because the organs that they send, I feel like they need to test them and make sure they belong to him, because I don't understand how you all didn't send his organs when he's there for a second autopsy. We don't need to research anything. We know that they removed things. The question is, why didn't they send it with the body? I don't need to research anything. I've said over and over again that they remove things when they do an autopsy, but you needed to send it with the body. So removing it is not the question. You were supposed to send it with the body. He went to Washington, D.C. to get a second autopsy. He can't get a second autopsy if you send a body with none of the organs that is needed, such as the lungs, the stomach, the throat. Why would you not send these things? So we don't need to research shit.
Disputes, and people have said that was Nolan. So we're trying to dot every I and cross every T, because it's so critically important that this family gets answers, that the country gets answers.
You said that your investigators have been getting a lot of tips about videos and photos, and I'm wondering if there's anybody coming forward, because
the issue is what Deborah said. They kept the organs on purpose so that the second autopsy could not determine the cause of death. We're not saying that they're not supposed to remove these things. That wasn't the question. I mean, we know they dumb, but they shouldn't be that dumb. I mean, they understand that if you're going to do an autopsy, you have to look at the organs. We know they take them out of the body, but as they said, they normally take them out and put them somewhere inside the body. So, you know, you can pull the organs out or do whatever it is you need to do with them, but they didn't send them. So they didn't send them because they don't want it to be found out. I believe he was strangled. Okay. You didn't send his throat. It's a reason why. I feel like he was strangled. They said it was something at the back of his head, on his brain. It was red. I feel like they had to hit him hard with something. Nolan did not drown. If he did, why are they going through all of this? If he drowned, then let his parents figure out that he drowned. Because they did not provide his stomach and lungs, they were not able to determine if he was dead before he got in the water. Can't determine that. So it's clear that they did this on purpose.
Because you said something that is so true, where there's so many people who were out there in Horn Island. Whatever it is that happened to Nolan, even if it is accidental, but whatever it is that happened, it just seems implausible that no one has seen anything. I'm wondering if you are having any luck hearing from people who are actually on the island who saw him. I mean, obviously, even in the image that we have, that they may or may not be him, but there were so many people there. It just seems implausible that whatever happened to this young man, someone didn't see anything. Are you hearing from people who are on the island?
We are hearing from people on the island, and the Nolan Wells tip line at bencrump.com is getting a lot of hits and submissions. And that 800 number that we want to encourage everybody to call at the Ben Crump Call Center is 1-888-991-1772.
Okay.
And we are going to take detailed information from you.
Okay. What have you heard from, you know, that your independent autopsy is complete now. Have you heard anything from the sheriff's department as to when their results are going to be available? Because obviously they have the throat. They, were able to look at his lungs, and as well, they're going to have the toxicology, which that's going to be the really telling thing here. Have you heard from them when those results might be available?
No, we haven't. And remember, our autopsy is not complete. It's undetermined pending further investigations. That's very important to note, Charles, because we need to examine the throat. We also want to see the pictures.
So basically, I like how Ben Crump is saying, we ain't done yet. So basically, they need to provide his organs. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know what the time frame is as it relates to autopsies, as it relates to organs. I feel like everything that they're doing is intentional so that when they ever send it back, they're going to be like, because of the time frame, we're not able to determine what happened. That's just what I feel like is going to happen, because why in the hell would you send the body and not send his organs? Specific organs you didn't send. To me, it doesn't make sense. And here's the other deal. I don't know if they took DNA of Nolan, but I feel like whatever they receive now, they need to test it for DNA so that they know that that actually belongs to him, because I don't trust these people. I don't trust them. And I feel like that there is definitely some kind of cover up here.
We want to know whether his lungs and airways have water in them. Those things are significant if we're trying to be transparent. And they told us they're going to be transparent. So we're going to see if we can take them at their word. Furthermore, I think it's vitally important that we continue to underscore that toxicology is important, but it's not the end all. Charles, if he went into the water with all those people on Horn Island, somebody knows something, somebody saw something, and that is the crux of the matter. That is what's going to be at issue. The cell phones, all toxicology, all play a part. But what did people see? Somebody knows what happened to Nolan Wells.
All right. Ben, thank you so much.
Thank you all for covering this matter.
Somebody knows what happened to Nolan Wells. Somebody had to know. When, what's his name, Wyatt did the interview, and we didn't even need the interview because we can see there were tons and tons of people that were there. What did Ben Crump say? 300, 400 people. It wasn't like it was a little amount of people. It was enough people there that somebody had saw him. Somebody could have saw him. Why would any professional department like that leave out body parts? How do you forget something like? I don't think it's not a forget. I believe it was intentional. You know, because I would think a forget is maybe, you know, one thing, but his throat, his stomach, his lungs, I don't think that is a forget thing. I think that was rather intentional. I don't think that it was a forget. Now, another thing that I don't like, why have they still not received information from these cell phones? I feel like that is something that they're not going to do, because I feel like this boy or these kids or whoever whatever they call themselves, they talk to their parents. Okay. The cell phones is going to tell a lot and probably put a lot of folks in jail. I don't feel like they're going to look at the cell phones. This is clearly a cover-up. This is clearly a cover-up. Keisha, this is why it's imperative to vote, 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 vote. Yeah, well, I vote. I mean, yeah, it's imperative, but apparently they ain't doing it, especially in Mississippi. You know, unfortunately, some people, I don't know. You know, I don't know. I can't live other folks' lives. I say it over and over again. I guess, you know, maybe they will, maybe they won't. The biggest issue is he was only in the water 42 hours. Yeah, they should have been able to get a good autopsy, especially if the body didn't appear to be waterlogged. I feel like everything that happened to his body, keep in mind though, these are judges, these are lawyers. You know, a judge is nothing but a lawyer. I feel like they set this up specifically so it can be exactly what it was. Make sure the body is decomposed, because when it's decomposed, you're not able to see any scar tissues or anything of that nature because the body was so decomposed. I actually looked this up because I said, damn, how long does it take a body to decompose? Well, what I learned is that decomposition begins almost immediately within minutes after a person is deprived from oxygen. However, there's stages. The first stage is 0 to 3 days. So within 3 days, rigor mortis sets in. But here again, 3 days. It wasn't 3 days. Wasn't 3 days. I feel like the decomposition of his body was something that they made sure happened extremely quickly. Because again, we don't know if Nolan was beat up or if he had bruises and stuff like that, because as they stated in this report here, which I'm going to put on the screen, is you couldn't tell because of the bruising to his body. The bruising to his body, they were not able to tell. It says the forensic pathologist was retained to perform a second autopsy examination on the body of Nolan Xavier Wells. Date of death. He couldn't even put the date of death on here. Unknown. Autopsy, July 10th. Preliminary findings. Focal area of red discoloration in the soft tissue of the back of the head. Occipital region. The body received after initial autopsy. Marked decomposition. Coronal incision of the scalp. The brain was removed. Why in the hell did they need to keep his brain? Y'all, I don't like these folks. I really don't. I mean, this is too much. Why did they need to keep his brain? The brain was not there either. The brain was removed. There's a Y-shaped incision of the anterior torso, which is generally what they do. The organs were removed. Anterior internal neck structures absent, not received with the body. This doesn't make any sense. Okay, let me bring up my next page here. Says no fractures, no evidence of deep tissue injury, posterior head dissection, focal area of red discoloration in the soft tissue of the back of the head, occipital region. It says no fractures. Rib exposure says no fractures, no evidence of deep tissue injury. Pelvic dissection. She says no fractures. Says healed scars, remote healed scars on the left ankle. Toxicology not performed. The forensic pathologist identifies several limitations during the second autopsy that create barriers to establishing a definitive case and manner of death for Nolan Xavier Wells. The second autopsy performed on Nolan Wells revealed marked decomposition, changes. Marked decomposition can obscure the presence or absence of bruising on the skin surface, especially during a second autopsy examination. He's basically saying the body was decomposed so bad that he was not able to see bruising on the skin because the skin was pretty much messed up. Okay, the body is decomposing so bad. I can't tell you if he, received a beating or, if he had bruises, because his skin had to be very bad, y'all. Like, it had to been extremely bad. Yeah, it said, I didn't realize that they kept his brain either. Somebody said, wow, I didn't realize Mississippi kept the brain. I kind of missed that too. But it says that his body was received minus the brain. Yeah. Pretty crazy, I know. J Gray 575, thanks for the $4.99. The family that camped on the beach could have info. I wonder what they heard or saw. Organs theft is real. Mississippi stole his organs if his organs don't get back. Well, the family that was on the beach, his parents talked to him. They didn't see him. So they did talk to that family that was on the beach. That's why they said that they didn't believe that he was there, because nobody saw him. They said I think it was a couple of families that stayed on the beach, which again contradicts what the Cajun Navy said. The Cajun Navy said that they make their rounds to make sure nobody is spending the night on the island. Well, I guess they was too busy trying to do something with Nolan body that they forgot, because apparently they didn't do it on that day. Okay, Breeze React. Thank you for the super chat. Can the DC pathologist request to have the organ sent to them after the fact? Well, it looks like what Ben Crump is, that is exactly what Ben Crump is doing. So what Ben Crump is pretty much saying is this is not a closed case. We still want that second autopsy. So you need to send these organs is what you need to do. That is what I'm getting from Ben Crump. Now, I done said, though, in my chat, like, especially when we're dealing with people that, passed away, don't come in my chat with ignorant stuff, like ignorant. If you ignorant, I will block you. Somebody just put in the chat, I'm about to block him. He trusted white people. His brain mustn't work anyway. Something stupid. So I'm about to block you. Okay. I'm about to block you real fast. Let me just get you on up out of here. This is not the community for you. Y'all be doing too much. About to get you up out of here. You talking about an 18-year-old kid. He not your age. Mine's in the chat. If y'all see that comment, somebody get this person up out of here. Talking about deceased people. I don't want that up in here. Come on now. He's just doing too much. People got a lot of nerves to sit up and just talk about somebody dead as if you can't walk outside and die yourself. What be wrong with y'all? We all unfortunately got to go down that same path. Now, we may not drown or get unalived by somebody we think is our friend, but at least have some common sense when you're discussing people. He ain't responsible for his death. I mean, you can have white friends, you can have black friends, but at the end of the day, we're all learning something. Like, you know what I mean? I would have never thought that somebody is that evil. This was supposed to, have been his friend. All of them. And, it just didn't work out like that. Okay, it says, the forensic pathologist identified several limitations during the second autopsy that create barriers to establishing a definitive cause and manner of death for Nolan Xavier Wells. The second autopsy performed on Nolan Wells revealed marked decomposition changes. Marked decomposition can obscure the presence or absence of bruising on the skin surface, especially during a second autopsy examination. For these reasons, additional dissection procedures are not performed. During the first autopsy examination, were performed to rule out potential blunt force injuries responsible for the death. These procedures included facial dissection, posterior head and neck dissection, dissection of the ribs, pelvic dissection, and subcutaneous and deep, this is small, deep soft tissue dissection of the back, buttocks, arms, and legs. There were no fractures or deep tissue injuries identified. However, dissection of the back of the head during the layer posterior neck discussion revealed a 12 by 8 inch focal area of red discoloration in the deep soft tissue overlying the occipital bone. So I don't know, y'all. I think he probably was hit in the back of the head. But again, he could not make a determination because he was not provided with the rest of his body parts. That's just the way that it says. He could not really make a determination on the body because there were, how can he make a determination if he drowned with no lungs and no stomach? If you drink water and you drown, that's where it's going. It's going in your lungs, your stomach. They didn't provide any of that. And as I said earlier, the stomach was equally important to find out when was the last time he ate. You see what I'm saying? Because the food is going to be in your stomach. Now, when I say, or when they say they did not provide his body parts, they did this intentional. This was not a mistake. This is not a mistake. No lungs, no stomach, no throat, no brain. No, this was not a mistake. It definitely was not a mistake. Right. That explains why they transported his body face down to preserve the injury to the neck of the head. Right. Right. Yeah. That's why his body was face down. I mean, no throat. I'm just trying to figure out. I don't even know how that even works. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So all of the stuff that we were hearing, now we understand why. Remember those two ladies that stated that his body was, I don't remember the exact words they said, but something to the tune that his body was burned. And I'm thinking they probably said that because his body was decomposed. And maybe to them, it looked like he was burned.
I'm going to talk about Nolan Wells today. So today, we actually know someone that works transporting bodies, human remains, and things like that. So today I got a call from that person, and they were just talking about the body that they came across. This was Nolan Wells. So before knowing all that, he said that the body was mistreated. Yeah. It looked abused. It looked like he was tortured. Looked as if he was burnt, maybe. Where? Face, body, said he was burnt.
And not only that, his body was mistreated when they transported him.
So as they were transporting him, he was actually face down. So everyone knows when you're transporting a body, when, only a couple of people work that job, they all know you don't transport the body face down. It's kind of very disrespectful, so you always have them face up. Well, specifically his body whatever reason was face down, and me personally, I took that as disrespect.
Yeah.
Heart goes out to the family.
Yes, definitely.
Because all we know is what they put out
on the internet.
But today, we actually found out a lot about his autopsy without even reading the autopsy.
Yeah.
It's heartbreaking.
I'm so sorry that family have to go through this. Really just
want to give our condolences to the family, as a mom or moms,
grandmothers,
dads, family, period. We give the most prayers to you, and we stand behind you, because we know right what really happened.
Right. So.
And at the end of the day, whatever lies those families have covered up, or whatever lies they're trying to cover, we're sorry.
Yeah.
And we're here for you, and we just want you to know that what was seen today
was unacceptable. It's unacceptable. And that's why we want to inform what's going on during the transport. Like that.
Something you can be quiet on
at all.
When you've seen something so heartbreaking as a child, go through something traumatic.
Yes.
It hurts to know that was done to him in the ways that we can't even express.
Right.
And as a person, you should have some type of humanity.
Right.
And I felt like those people who was transporting him did not have humanity in no way, shape, or form. Because if I can feel the way I feel about the situation, just listening to what happened, you also can listen to what happened to this child.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, that is a child that you did that to.
Right.
So this child needs justice. Because we're not going to sleep until he gets it.
At all. And I heard the feds are in Mississippi right now. So justice for Nolan Wells.
No matter what.
Our heart goes out to his mom, his family, everybody.
And just know, families, we're coming for you.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the feds being involved, they're not going to do anything. We have a whole joke in the White House. The federal government, yeah. And, I had found out, and I did a video about this as well. The feds are investigating threats. They're not investigating anything else. Now, somebody stated in the chat the 8x12 hole in the occipital area, that's why they kept his brain, because it was likely damaged. Good catch. Probably. I feel like everything that they kept it for a reason. Because, it's clear that they're hiding shit. They didn't forget to, how you forget to, include all of these things. Keep in mind, they do autopsies all the time. There are chances where people will want a second autopsy. You said the feds have interviewed, looking for people who are sending out threats. The feds don't give a damn about this. You must have forgot who's in the White House A whole clown. Oh, 8 by 12 is the size of a boat paddle. Yeah, so I'm just reading what y'all saying. This is so bad. Like, oh my gosh. Did they think that this was going to make us think that he drowned? Exactly. Somebody said the federal government has never done anything. So why would they start now? Exactly. I mean, and listen, if y'all thought the federal government didn't do shit, well, they definitely ain't finna do it now. I mean, I used to watch the news. I don't even watch that shit no more because I feel like we got a bunch of idiots in the White House. Like, what is really going on? A missing throat and bruise across the upper neck in the back sounds like a hanging. Thank you for the super chat, Smitty. Yeah, that's what people have been saying. People say that, but I mean, they took the throat. So, I mean, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking because they say that there was something right there. I said, what if they hit him over the head, knocked him unconscious? We don't know what they did. This is sick. This is so sick. And to sit there and cover this up, not to send his body parts with his body. This is a mess. Well, I did a video, a live. I keep saying video, but I did a live a few days ago as it relates to Nolan Wells' mother. And let me see if I can bring those documents up. Because she is moving and people are saying that they believe that she's gearing up for a lawsuit, which she should. She should. I mean, this is horrific. It's horrible. Just, you know, so let me see if I can bring that up. Okay, so she filed documentation. It was a few days ago. Let me look at the date. I can't really see it. Yeah, I can't see. It's been a few days ago. But what she filed for, she filed to be, people keep saying the administrator, but it's actually administratrix. It's not administrator. So basically what she's saying is that the information surrounding Nolan's death, she basically wants to be the person over his estate because she wants to be able to sue their ass, is what she's getting ready to do. She's getting ready to do that. The throat not being there, doesn't that debunk where the two girl, where the, you said, doesn't that debunk where the two, I don't understand what you mean. When you say the throat not being there, doesn't that debunk where the two girls were saying? I don't know what two girls you're referring to. I mean, there's been so many people that said so many things with no names. You know, I feel like this a whole internet case. Like there's been so many things that's been said. So I don't know specifically what you're talking, what two girls you're referring to. We know that the throat was removed for the purposes of the autopsy. That is, you know, that's what we know based on that autopsy report. We do know that the autopsy report says that his throat was removed. And generally, guys, just because we don't want to just be making up shit, typically, you know, during an autopsy, they do remove, you know, different things. But failure to send it with the body when you know that he's going for a second autopsy is bullshit. They did that on purpose. And I feel like the things that they removed would definitely tell a story of what really happened to Nolan. You took his throat because I believe he was strangled. You did not provide his stomach and his lungs because that would provide the story as to if he really drowned. You see what I'm saying? All of these things that they did not include would tell what actually happened to him. His brain, I didn't realize that until I read the report. His brain wasn't provided. Maybe when he was hit in the back of the head, he was hit so hard that it damaged his brain. We don't know what happened to Nolan. We really don't know what happened to him. He could have been alive. They could have, you know, they could have put the thing around and say, I don't know. This is really terrible. It's really terrible. Really sad. But what I do know is these fake ass friends, the one, what is his name? Warren. Is that his name? Warren? I think that's his name. He's out now doing interviews, which is extremely crazy. Did you guys get the opportunity to watch? I'm going to play a little bit of this, just a little bit.
Board certified forensic pathologists performed a preliminary report on the death of Nolan Xavier Wells. He conducted and presented this report on July 19th, 2020. Incision of the anterior torso, and he talked about the organs being removed, as is common, accompanied in the body cavity. And that when you have an autopsy, the organs are removed from the body and they are dissected and examined. And then they are put back in a bag within inside the body. So when they're buried, their remains will all be with them. But in this occasion, if there's going to be a second autopsy, then the organs are put in the body cavity. So the second pathologist could be able to examine the organs as well. Very significant for Dr. Mitchell was that the anterior inner neck structures were absent, not received with the body. And we'll explain that in just a minute. And then it talks about the additional procedures performed during the second autopsy. And we'll go into the paragraphs on that there, as he explains it there in his narrative. So where is the first page of the discussion? Not the document yet. So he talks in the preliminary discussion opinion. This forensic pathologist identified several limitations during the second autopsy that create barriers to establishing a definitive cause and manner of death for Nolan Xavier Wells. And that's important. He talks about the fact that we didn't get to see the body when it was first recovered, like the medical examiner working for Mississippi would have seen. He talked about the second autopsy performed on Nolan Wells revealed marked decompensation or changes. Marked decompensation can obscure the presence and absence of bruising on the skin surface, especially during a second autopsy examination. What he's saying, because the body was so decomposed that you couldn't tell if there was bruises or abrasions on the body when he received it on the 10th of July. For these reasons, additional dissection procedures not performed during the first autopsy examination were performed to rule out potential blunt force injuries responsible for the death. These procedures included facial dissection, posterior head and neck dissection, dissection of the ribs, the pelvic, dissection of the subcutaneous and deep soft tissue, dissection of the back, the buttocks, the arms and legs. He did all of this to rule out things. He ruled out there were no fractures or deep tissue injuries identified. This was very important because he wanted to be very thorough and very transparent, because transparency is the key to getting to the answers of why Nolan Wells is not with us. So he did that there and was very straightforward, very open, very open. He says, however, dissection of the back of the head during the layered posterior neck dissection revealed a 12 by 8-inch focal area of red discoloration in the deep soft tissues overlaying the occipital bone. He talked about how he found red discoloration when he cut open into the back of his head towards the occipital bone, and he saw the red discoloration, and we actually saw the pictures of it. It's significant. You can't help but notice, why is this dark red here in the back of his head? And so he was important to note that in his report. He said that etiology of this finding is unclear. There are no lacerations of the overlaying skin nor fractures of the underlying skull. These findings are inconclusive for perimortem injury due to both the extensive decomposition and the absence of associated injuries. This finding, however, is significant enough to be highlighted in this preliminary report for further investigation. It is important to reiterate that the finding could not have been observed in the first autopsy because the posterior head and neck dissection were not performed. He said another limitation faced by this forensic pathologist was the absence of the anterior internal neck structures. The trachea and the laryngeal cartilage, the thyroid horn, and the hyoid bone were not received with the body. So he's saying that the throat was not received with the body when he got Nolan Wells' body in Washington, D.C. to perform the second autopsy. And so let's discuss that with what he said about that. He said, it is assumed that the initial pathologist retained these structures for additional evaluation. He said the retention of the anterior neck structures during an initial autopsy is a common forensic pathology practice. He was chief medical examiner for 7 years in Washington, D.C. And he said that if they had concern about throat or any fracture or compression of the throat, they too will hold them back. He doesn't know why they held the throat back, but he said the throat was not with the body of Nolan Wells when he received it in Washington, D.C. to perform the second autopsy. He said, nevertheless, a posterior neck dissection performed without review of the anterior neck structures is incomplete Therefore, this pathologist cannot rule out injury to the neck as a contributor or a cause of death. He said he would need to have the medical examiner in Mississippi allow him to review the throat. That's why he said his autopsy is undetermined pending investigation. Remember, it's about transparency. Because the initial autopsy rightfully removed and dissected each organ, there are additional limitations inherent in the second autopsy of Nolan Wells. The most significant of the limitations was the inability to directly observe the airway and the lungs for water and directly observe the stomach for gastric contents. He said it is very significant as to what the initial forensic scientists who got to review the body when it was recovered. We have heard from our call center people saying the body wasn't waterlogged. Well, we need to know those things. But unfortunately, because the body was decomposed and the organs have already been dissected, those are things we can only get from the initial autopsy. So therefore, again, the manner and cause of death is undetermined until further investigation. We are hopeful that the Mississippi Medical Examiner would give Dr. Mitchell an opportunity to see their photographs and their observations to the condition of Nolan Wells' body closer in time to July 4th. That is very important, and we have to continue to demand transparency, President Johnson. In addition, the original toxicology results have not been received at the time of this report. And we continue to wait for the toxicology to come back because, again, that will be part of the investigation into Nolan Wells' autopsy by Dr. Mitchell. It is significant to know that there's many things that go into toxicology that only Dr. Mitchell would be able to opine upon, and medical experts can opine upon. And he feels the proper place to do that is before a grand jury in a courtroom. And so we would hope that the district attorney would present Dr. Mitchell before the grand jury as well. We want all relevant information to be heard by the grand jury. Lastly, in cases where a death has occurred in or around a body of water, lastly, in cases where a death has occurred in or around a body of water with suspicion of drowning, it is important to confirm how that person entered the water. This is the crux of the matter. This information is especially important for those deaths of persons who can swim. As in the case with Nolan Wells, at the time of this report, this forensic pathologist does not know the condition of Nolan Wells. He did not know whether he was conscious or unconscious when he entered the water. He said that would be significant. He said he did not know whether he was forced into the water or unforced into the water. He said that would be significant. So he said the condition of Nolan Wells before he entered the water would be the crux of the matter. It would be of utmost importance to being able to determine a cause and manner of death. He said, definitive circumstances of death are required to determine the manner of death. For these reasons, this pathologist cannot rule out. Let me really call your attention to this. For these reasons, this pathologist cannot rule out if any intervening non-accidental factors contributed to or caused the death of Nolan Wells. Understand, he said based on the examination of the body, he cannot rule out foul play. That is significant. With the following questions still outstanding, number one, what were the circumstances that led to Nolan Xavier Wells entering the water? Number two, what was the body's position when it was found? We know that a member of the United Cajun Navy said that he was face down and he was fully clothed.
Now, guys, remember I said, and we just showed that video where the people with the Cajun Navy said that they didn't say that. Okay. So I don't know. This case is just, it's crazy. It seems like a setup. It seems like these people are lying, making shit up, because the Cajun Navy definitely said that he was found face down in the water. They definitely said that. And that is what, you know, Ben Crump had said. But I had showed you guys that tweet where the Cajun Navy is pretty much telling Ben to don't misquote them and that they didn't say that. What is y'all saying in the chat? Is this some people I need to get up out of here? No, I'm just trying to get caught up in the chat. I don't know. Y'all's putting the stuff in the chat. Are you doctors? So, I mean, the report is what it is. So if they don't have his throat, then a licensed doctor, pathologist who went to school would be able to say why they can't do certain things, not just regular everyday people who think, oh, well, wait a minute. If he was strangled, don't it look like it in his eyes? I mean, unless you went to school and you're a doctor, then you wouldn't be able to know that. That's why, you know, these folks are educated and they, you know, they have to have this degree, not, you know, us just making shit up. Okay. So the doctor has stated that he can't rule on certain things simply because they didn't send his body parts. I mean, if you remove the throat, how do you get strangled? Somebody said, wouldn't they be able to tell, well, you know, if he had bruising on his body? I mean, did you not read that they said the body was decomposed? So I don't know if you know what decomposition means, but they clearly said the body was so decomposed, they couldn't even tell if he had bruises on his body. So if they couldn't tell that he had bruises on his body, how would they be able to tell if he had bruising around his neck? I mean, I don't know what you're talking about, okay? I don't know what to say. But if you guys recall, the video came out where the lady said his body had been burnt. Now it makes sense as to why they said that, because a decomposed body can be mistaken for being burnt. It can pretty much be mistaken for that. So
dead teen's messages deleted after his body washes ashore? Caitlin, now allegations have reared their ugly head that his phone has been tampered with and items have been deleted. Explain.
They had his phone. And when his mother was looking for his phone when he was missing, there were two different ways to identify it, either a Snapchat location or a Life 360 location. They showed different locations, which is very possible because one updates automatically, the other only updates when you open the app. But when she finally tracked it down, she says there was nothing on it from that day.
Death of a young man, Nolan Wells. In the last hours, we learn the contents of a second independent autopsy on Nolan's body.
Preliminary report, second autopsy, death of Nolan Xavier Wells. Cause of death, undetermined, pending investigation. The manner of death, undetermined, pending investigation.
Making the water even more murky. And the COD, cause of death, and MOD, manner of death. That's from our friends at NAACP. What happened to Nolan Wells?
What happened to Nolan Wells, y'all? So we're going to keep following the story. Let me make sure I read all of y'all super chats. Let me make sure I read them all. I read that one. Okay, let's see. Okay. 𝐟𝐨𝐿𝐵𝐿𝐿 Rembert, I hope I'm saying it right. Thanks for the $4.99 super chat. Hi, Lakeysha. That pic on the boat is not Nolan. That right leg is not bent enough and it's too thick. I was thinking that the color was an awful lot to be, but I mean, Miss Dirty Lowdown Asses. Thank you for the $2, Lady PFS. Now, okay, so I've read a lot of the I've read all of the super chats. Okay, so we're gonna get in these gems that y'all send in. Charlene, thank you for the 440 gems. LaQuinta Thomas, thank you for the 2 gems. Lamb, man, I got glasses on, I can't see. Lamb Becoming Mold, thank you for the 10 gems. Sold, thank you for the 200 gems. Let's see. Val 510 for life. Stay hydrated. Thanks for the 550 gems. Shirley Fields, thank you for the 100 gems. Is it Sean 17? Thank you for the 100 gems. Deshaun 35, thank you for the 350 gems. And Angela Hightower, thank you for the 30 gems. I think I got them all right. Nope. Love Forever in 444444. Thank you for the 10 gems. And then again, Love Forever, thank you for the 2 gems. Love Forever again, thank you for the 2 gems. And Love Forever is in here again. Thank you for 20 gems because you did 10 twice. And then Tanaya Watson, thank you for the 1,000 gems. I think I got everybody. Yes, so I got everybody. All right, guys. So we're going to get up out of here. Make sure you guys, before you leave, you like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel if you guys have not subscribed. And I will see y'all in the next video. Talk to you later.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm listening. Go on. Yes, I'm typing it all down.
Keysha, clear, spilling tea, no fear, no fear. They talk loud, but I'm still here. Lakeysha Keysha, say it clear. I don't lies right here. Spilling tea, no fear. I'm still here. Da 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 da. Spilling tea, no sugar, no fear. They talk loud, but I'm still here. Lakeysha Keysha, say it clear. Real talk lives right here. Spilling tea, no sugar, no fear. Lakeysha, say it clear. Real talk lives right here. Make sure you subscribe to Lakeysha Keysha, my dear. I'm still here, no fear, but I'm still here. Lakeysha Keysha, say it clear. Real talk lives right here.
Stretch words like
Spilling tea, no sugar, no fear. Make sure you subscribe to the Lakeysha Keysha channel.